Hi, I'm Dr. Jason J. Campbell, and I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. In this video, I'm continuing my series into the philosophy of hip-hop, and I've done a series of videos discussing various accounts in hip-hop, keeping it real, grinding, hustling, haters, and my idea in the series is to give an account to both members of the hip-hop community, but people outside of the hip-hop community, an idea on the level of complexity involved in some of these concepts. So that when you hear the idea of grinding, you might think, well, first of all, what does it mean? And then once you know what it means, how do I make sense of grinding? And my account is to show the world that hip-hop isn't this sort of surface-level bubblegum genre of music, that there's a lot of depth to the concepts that these lyricists, that these artists are articulating. It's to really give credibility, hopefully, to the genre of hip-hop as being a genre with very, very intelligent rappers, despite the fact that they might be brutally violent, maybe even misogynistic in their lyrics. There is a level of complexity to the genre. A lot of people have talked about the negative aspects, and there's a lot of discourse on the bad side of hip-hop. And my contribution to both education and to hip-hop is to not necessarily look at the bad things, because we know that they're there, and a lot of people have discussed that, but to look at the good things, what hip-hop does, and how it maintains significance and meaning for so many people, especially people who are in the ghetto or, like myself, who have pulled themselves out. In this series, I'm going to be looking at philosophy of hip-hop and conceptualizing the lyrics in terms of an urban war zone, right? So an attempt to understand hip-hop and the references within hip-hop which pertain to urban warfare, right? Violence in the streets. And not just violence in the streets in any particular sense, but violence in the streets as similar to violence that you would see in a battlefield among soldiers and so on. So that's the intent behind the lecture. The reason that I came to the idea, it was actually organic. I initially did a video series, the video at the top. I did a video, an academic video, discussing concepts of oppression in a discipline known as post-structuralism. It's pretty technical. I got a video response to that video from a friend of mine on YouTube, Synthetic Fragments, and the middle video is Synthetic Fragments video response to that, and he talked about oppression as well. His response was so powerful for me, it moved me so much, that it moved me to make a video response to his video, and that's the video at the bottom. And basically what I did in that video was to really sort of emotionally describe the experience of living in the ghetto, right? Describe the experience of having to survive in the ghetto, and to just sort of reinforce the fact that you don't have to go to war, right? You don't have to be in Afghanistan or Iraq to know what it's like to be a soldier, right? To know what it's like to have someone pull a gun on you or to have someone shoot at you. People in the ghetto survive this every day in and day out. Countless people, children, survive this day in and day out. Some people don't survive this, right? So the idea of this video is to take all of that, all of those concepts, and to put it into the genre of hip-hop, and specifically look at the lyrics. Now, the other series that I've done, I've prepared sort of mentally off camera and gotten my notes in order mentally, and then I sort of freestyle the lecture mentally. I don't have any notes that are guiding my lecture. This lecture, however, is very deep. It will by far be the deepest lecture within the philosophy of hip-hop series that I'm doing, and I want to make sure that my lecture is systematic. So for this lecture, I will have notes. I would encourage you to print and download the notes. Just click the banner, it'll take you to the PDF, and then you can download the notes, or click the link in the description field, it'll take you to the PDF and you can download it. I'm not going to be giving this lecture as an academic. For those of you who might be watching me for the first time, I am a professor, and my intent is not to give an academic lecture. Though I will be systematic in my breakdown, this is open for the general audience. So with that being said, print out your notes, pause the video, print out your notes, come back to the video, and let's go through the notes and listen to some lyrics. Okay, so I'm going to begin with the first paragraph. So in this discussion, I will analyze 5 aspects of war within an urban setting. So I'm going to talk about 5 different aspects of war, and I'm going to list what these 5 aspects are in a second. So there's 5 levels to this discussion. Now the levels, not one more significant than others, but they're parallel, right? So 5 different aspects of war within the urban setting. They are as follows. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is the concept of earning stripes. What it means to earn stripes, what stripes refer to, how you get stripes. When rappers talk about stripes, what do they mean? So the first thing. The second thing is direct references to the military in lyrics. And this is with respect to various branches of the military. The Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, so on. Special Ops, Navy SEALs, and so on, right? So direct references in the lyrics to military branches. Number 3, direct references to being a soldier, right? And we know this, I mean, for sure, right? A reference where the lyricist refers to himself or herself as a soldier, or to the enemy or his friends as soldiers. Number 4, the notion of having to survive the ghetto, right? Or having survived the ghetto, right? As a battlefield, the idea that soldiers are fighting each other on a battlefield and only the strongest of those soldiers make it out of the ghetto is a very powerful concept. And I'm going to incorporate the idea of surviving the ghetto as an act of valor or bravery in war, right? So we'll talk about that as well. So just as you would have admiration and respect for a soldier who came back from battle, whose life was continually threatened, and we look at those individuals as heroes, my argument is so too must we look at individuals who have found constructive ways of making it out of this battle zone as heroes as well. So that's the point. That's number 4. And then lastly, number 5, and finally, direct references to the ghetto in terms of actual war zones. So to really bring home the point, the lyricist says that where I live is Gaza, where I live is Vietnam, where I live is Iraq, where I live is Afghanistan, right? This will solidify the concept and really demonstrate and prove that MCs and lyricists are cognizant of this reality. The reality that, and I don't want to get too deep, but the reality that individuals within mainstream society don't view us who have made it out the ghetto as being heroes, as being survivors, as being soldiers, as being filled with nothing but bravery and valor. They look at us like mainstream society still looks at us as, thugs and people who have something to prove, right? It's not traditionally the case. You see someone who's a professor teaching at a university that looks like me, right? So it's my attempt to give credence to this idea of lyrics which specifically focus on the ghetto as an urban war zone. Okay, so now we're really going to get into it, and what I'm going to do is splice audio clips from the actual artists into the lecture so that you can hear them say these lyrics and have a better appreciation and understanding of exactly how amazing it is that lyricists have identified and have continually articulated, discussed this concept. So the first thing is the concept of earning stripes. And I've just written a small blurb. As soldiers display their stripes, so too has the ghetto incorporated the concept of earning stripes, so that you can tell that someone is a sergeant because the sergeant will have stripes on his or her arm. Or you can tell the position of rank that a particular soldier has risen based on their stripes. So stripes can be earned for any number of activities. You can earn stripes for bravery. You can earn stripes for courage and valor. Or you can earn stripes for participating in battle. Obviously, participation in battle it might be a consequence of gang warfare. You can earn stripes for having done bad deeds, for having killed the enemy. You can earn stripes for having survived an attack from an enemy, and so on. All of these are conditions for earning stripes within hip-hop, and within the ghetto. Hip-hop references these in lyrics. Here are direct references to earning stripes, and now I'll start to splice in some of the audio clips. The first comes from Briscoe and it features Lil Wayne. The title of the track is In the Hood, and I'm going to play the audio now.
I earn stripes, I got soldiers that'll flop you for it. I earn stripes, I got soldiers that'll flop you for it.
Okay, so in the audio, we heard specifically the following reference. I earned stripes, I got soldiers that'll flop you for it, right? That'll kill you for it. I earned stripes, right? I got soldiers, right? So obviously, the lyricist puts himself in a position of rank to be able to command soldiers, right? He says, I earned stripes. I've done my work in the ghetto. I've survived the attacks. I'm still here, and I got soldiers that'll flop you for it. He references his community of brothers, those who are, in a sense, subordinated to him as taking orders from a commander. I got soldiers that'll do my work for me, right? What's important here is the reference to both earning stripes, right, and soldiers in the same lyric, right? This reinforces the concept that I'm building, right? In this one lyric, you heard the artist say that he's earned stripes, and because he's earned stripes, like anyone in the military would advance in rank, he's advanced in rank. Insofar as he's advanced in rank, now he has soldiers he commands, right? So very powerful concept, and I hope that that is clear. Okay, number 2. This is from Jules Santana, and the track is This Is Me. So I'm going to play the audio from Jules Santana's This Is Me.
That's just life in the hood. You earn scars, you earn stripes in the hood. That's just life in the hood. You earn scars, you earn stripes in the hood.
Okay, what we heard Jules Santana say in the track was, that's just life in the hood. You earn scars, you earn stripes in the hood, right? So what he's saying is, with respect to the hood, obviously the hood refers to the ghetto, that's just life in the hood. It's an everyday thing in the ghetto, right? In the hood, in the ghetto, it's an everyday thing. It's just life. You earn scars. You earn stripes in the hood, right? I've done a pretty detailed account of Beloved, and I've talked about the idea of scarification. And the idea of scarification specifically is tied to rememory. I don't want to go off on too much tangent here. Is that the scar is a source of a reflection back into the past. When you're covered in tattoos like I am, right? These tattoos are, in a sense, scars, right? But each one of these has significance because it reminds me of a time in my past, right? Similarly, you can imagine that if you've earned stripes, you've earned scars in the hood, you might have a stab wound scar, or you might have a bullet wound scar. And insofar as you have that scar, it's a reminder, it's a window into the past. And the trauma that the survivor has experienced is relived every time he has to, or she has to, tell the story of how he or she got that scar. It's a reminder that the place that I live is actually a battlefield and people are continually trying to kill me, right? And I need to be a soldier. I need to be courageous in order to survive this. And if I ever forget, there's always a reminder that, no, this is who I am. This is where I come from. And unless I'm on my toes, I could too be destroyed by the ghetto. So Santana's lyrics in This Is Me, I think, is very, very powerful because he's connected the concepts of scarification and also the ability to earn stripes based on still having survived, right? I have a scar, but I'm alive. And insofar as I'm alive, I've earned stripes. I've elevated in rank. Okay, again, all concepts of earning stripes in this first section. Number 3, this is OC, and OC's lyric is called, the track is called War Games. Obviously a reference to the war, obviously a reference to the battlefield. It's called War Games. And here's the audio clip from OC.
Rap veteran, earn my stripes, fought wars, opposing forces, with OC take losses. Rap veteran, earn my stripes, fought wars, opposing forces, with OC take losses.
Okay, what we see here is, what's interesting is that he uses the term veteran. He says he's a rap veteran, meaning that he's been in the rap game for a while. But also we see sort of the double entendre, the play on words by incorporating veteran into a track about war games, right? Obviously a veteran is someone who's been to battle, right? So he's saying, rap veteran, earn my stripes. I've been to battle, I'm a veteran, right? I'm no longer in war. I've been to battle, I'm a veteran, and as such, I've earned rank. I've earned my stripes. Fought wars. I mean, this lyric is absolutely clear about the concept that I'm trying to discuss here. Rap veteran, earned my stripes, fought wars, opposing forces, would OC take losses, right? So I fought wars, right? And he doesn't literally mean that he's been to a battlefield. He's, again, referencing the ghetto as the ongoing active battlefield. And in that active battlefield, he's fought battles. He's a veteran and he's earned stripes, right? So again, reference within the community by lyricists referring to their environment as being so hostile that they articulate it in terms of battle warfare, being a veteran, earning stripes, right? I think this is it's very, very clear, and it's very important to understand the importance of this. Okay, number 4, this is going to be Trey featuring, obviously, the famous Bun B, and the title of the track is So Gangsta. So I'm going to play the audio from So Gangsta now.
I earn stripes and scores in street fights and wars. I earn stripes and scores in street fights and wars.
Okay, what we see here, Bun B says, I earned stripes and scars in street fights and wars, right? So what's interesting is that Bun B's track is sort of a combination of the scarification that Juelz Santana talked about in his track. You see that Juelz Santana in This Is Me introduces this idea of scars with respect to earning stripes. And I don't think it's coincidental at all that Bun B also, in talking about earning stripes, references scars, right? This is what I love about the complexity of the genre of music, right? You can sort of think that it's bubblegum poppy music, but hip hop is real. And what has happened is in fighting, in becoming a veteran, you're going to be bruised, you're going to be battled, you're going to be scarred. And Bun B and Juelz Santana both reference this idea of scars. I earned stripes and scars in street fights and wars. Obviously, a fight is a lower category of battle than a warfare is. So he's being very explicit, that is Bun B, obviously, is being very explicit in these lyrics to let you know, look, I'm not just talking about a skirmish. I'm not just talking about a fight between sets. I'm talking about full-out war, right? So that in his discussion of hip-hop, Bun B's actually created a hierarchy of violence within the community, right? A street fight is a lower act of aggression and violence than a full-blown war is. Right, so again, Bun B, I earned stripes and scars, reference to scars and scarification again, in street fights and wars. And I think that it's important, again, to recognize the link between scars and scarification and earning stripes. I deserve those stripes because you can look at the scars that I have. I've been on the block, I've done my time, and I'm still surviving. A concept that we'll discuss in a little bit. Okay, number 5. This is Young Jeezy featuring T.I., right? 2 huge names in the genre, and the track is I Got Money.
Good morning, Vietnam. Yeah, we trying to earn stripes. Get jammed up with one, it can cost you your whole life. Good morning, Vietnam. Yeah, we trying to earn stripes. Get jammed up with one, it can cost you your whole life.
Okay, in the audio, we hear Jeezy say, "Good morning, Vietnam." Now, this is going to obviously reference 2 things that we're going to talk about in this video. He references his community as Vietnam, right? So, good morning, Vietnam. Yeah, we trying to earn stripes. Get jammed up of one can cost you your whole life, right? So, we're trying to earn stripes, right? This reference might be more aggressive, right? We might, and there's a number of ways you can interpret this. We might be trying to earn stripes by doing harm to the enemy. So, we would view the enemy as, and killing the enemy or harming the enemy as a method of earning stripes, right? It's not all, as I said, it's not all bubblegum. The only way you earn stripes isn't just surviving. Another way that you earn stripes is by directly attacking the enemy. And if the enemy, whoever that person or that group of individuals might be, if we attack and kill the enemy, that's another reason of earning stripes, right? So you can imagine, good morning, obviously this is a reference to the movie, Good Morning, Vietnam. Good morning, I open up my door to the ghetto, and what do I see? War zone. Good morning, Vietnam. It's time for me to earn stripes today. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to survive and make it back home. Or I'm going to go out and find the enemy and kill the enemy, or harm the enemy, or maim the enemy, right? Still, either way you want to interpret it, what we recognize is the lyricist is creating a picture in which you, the viewer, who probably live in the burbs, right? The largest consumers of hip-hop are people in the burbs, middle class, have the ability vicariously, right, through Jeezy to peek through that door being open and seeing the battlefield. Okay. Lastly, for the concept of earning stripes, again, Young Jeezy, and this is Soul Survivor, and I'm gonna play the audio for Soul Survivor.
If the hood was a battlefield, then I earned stripes. If the hood was a battlefield, then I earned stripes.
Okay, what you see in this is basically the whole verse is important, right? He says, and if the hood was a battlefield, right? So now you can see what I'm saying isn't something that I'm trying to construct on my own. I think I've definitely reinforced the fact by appealing to the music itself. Jeezy's saying, and if the hood was a battlefield, I would go so far as to say, Jeezy, don't say and if it's a battlefield. Since it's a battlefield, right? Since the hood is a battlefield, right? Jeezy's absolutely right? It's not a matter of if the, and I'm not knocking him, right? But the point is, it is a battlefield, right? I think it really is genius, and I don't use that word loosely. I really think it is genius to be able to recognize that I am going to describe the level of violence and brutality in the ghetto as being so great that I'm going to describe it as a battlefield. And if the hood is a battlefield, then I earn stripes. Again, as I said before, it's undeniable that within the tradition of hip-hop, when you're talking about earning stripes, it pertains to having survived, being able to see the scars, having the scars serve as an ability to remember, to reflect back on the incidents and create a narrative. That narrative is then given, in a sense, to the wielders of our narrative, to the wielders of our history. And in a contemporary sense, obviously the African American community has always been an oral tradition. The people who preserve that tradition now are the lyricists, right? So we give our stories to our lyricists. Jeezy, Jay-Z, T.I., OC, Bun B, Jules Santana. These lyricists cradle the narrative of the ghetto, and it's through them that we gain voice. Now, I've taken their lyrics and taken it to another level, right? So it's been given from the ghetto to the lyricists, and then the lyricists, in a sense, give it to me. And what I'm doing now is I'm deconstructing it back down to the ghetto so that you can see the fluidity and the transference between having lived, which is known as an existential experience, having experienced firsthand an account, hearing that account secondhand through a lyricist talking about friends or even firsthand his own account, analyzing it academically in a structure, systematically, and then bringing that information up and down sort of this hierarchy of information. So I think it should be clear the concepts of earning stripes. So that's the first page. The next concept that I want to discuss is a concept to direct military references. And I remember I was young at the time when I remember Cash Money dropped, and ever since Cash Money dropped to this day, I'm still a big Cash Money fan, right? And they're obviously the original. Those in the community know that the original Cash Money group is no more. There was a huge group when it first came, sort of right off of the coattails of Master P's, True, and then obviously No Limit Soldiers, and then Cash Money came, and Baby really put Cash Money on the map. One of the greatest lyrics to come, the greatest tracks to come out of Cash Money was Cash Money is an Army, and I'll discuss that in a second. First, let me just describe what's happening and what's at stake with respect to military references. This is the top of page 2. Lyricists will conceptualize their participation in urban warfare by referencing various branches of the armed services, right? So basically what I'll say is, listen, this is a war, and my camp, we're the Marines, and we're fighting against the bad guys. My camp is the Navy, and we're fighting against, my camp is the Air Force. My camp is Navy, Air Force, Marines, Army, right? And so on. So let's look at BG's Cash Money is an Army, and here's the audio.
Cash Money is an army nigga, a Navy nigga. Cash Money is an army nigga, a Navy nigga.
Okay, so as BG says, right, Cash Money is an Army nigga, a Navy nigga, right? Cash Money is an Army, right? Cash Money is a Navy. Our camp, our team, our clique is so powerful, is so brutal a force that our clique is identified as a branch of the military services, right? Cash Money is an Army, Cash Money is a Navy. right? You don't want to go to war with the Army. You don't want to go to war with the Navy. Right? The Navy is a systematic group of individuals. The Marines, the Air Force, all of those branches of the military government, of the military, of the U.S. military, are specially trained in the art of combat, right? They are trained to kill people, right? Obviously in the name of defense, but you don't want to go to war with soldiers that have been trained professionally to protect and to serve, right? To kill threats, right? It's one thing to say, oh, you're going to fight my set, my team, my group, my clique. It's another thing to say that my clique is an army and you're going to fight me. You don't want to go to war with me if I'm reinforced by an army, right? So that's what's being done here, is that, and what was powerful is Cash Money was fresh. They just hit the scene. I don't remember exactly when this track came out, but they had just hit the scene. And obviously, this is just me now. I don't know if there would have been sort of beef then between sort of Master P's No Limit camp and their camp. They're roughly all from the same area, and it's sort of like, don't mess with us because we're official, right? Our camp is deep. So the whole point is, it's a bit of bravado. Here's my team is an army, and you're not going to mess with us as soon as we say Cash Money is an army, better yet a Navy, right? It's heavy. As a matter of fact, Jay-Z used a variation of those lyrics from BG because the concept was just so powerful, right? Of referring to your clique as an army, right? As a branch of the military, military branch of the military. All right. So the second track, this is Jim Jones, Going In for the Kill. So I'm gonna play Jim Jones is Going In for the Kill, and here's the audio.
Hell yeah. We train to kill Marine Corps Special Ops. Hell yeah. We train to kill Marine Corps Special Ops.
Okay, what we see here is it's even more explicit. The point that I said before, where in discussing BG's verse, you don't want to battle with people who have been trained to kill. You hear this explicitly now reinforced in Jim Jones. And trust me, it took me a long time to put this together because I wanted to create a narrative in my lecture, but I had to find that in the lyrics, right? And when I found it, I was like, this is a gold mine, right? We train to kill Marine Corps Special Ops. He's not talking about himself as being a member of the Marine Corps, obviously. My clique, my team. Now you get what Baby and what BG said earlier. Our team is the Marine Corps, but don't get it twisted, as we say in the streets, right? Don't get it twisted. This is not just a Marine Corps. The people in my corps, the people on my team are trained to kill, right? So if you challenge us and me and my team as being, a general on the team, I call shots. I'm not gonna go out in the streets and be battling y'all. I'm a commander. I'm gonna have my boys come get you. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna make a phone call, and that's it. So we train to kill Marine Corps Special Ops, right? Special Ops having the idea of this is not just a traditional battle. It's not just going to be sort of everybody on the field, guns at war. No, we are strategically going to figure out how to undermine and destroy the threat. Now, keep in mind, while all of this is going on, kids are catching the bus to go to school, people are going to the local grocery store to buy groceries, people are having football and basketball games out on local playing fields. All this while, your regular life is taking place in the midst of all of this strategic warfare, special ops, right? Being trained to kill. So the idea is you want to train somebody, not when they're old, like me. You want to train somebody when they're young. You want the 12, 13, 14-year-olds on the battlefield fighting, right? I'm less terrified of a dude in his 30s in the hood trying to be gangster than I am of a 12 or 13-year-old in the hood trying to be gangster. Because that kid at 12 or 13-year-old, he's not a veteran yet. He doesn't have any stripes. And in order to survive, he knows he got to get stripes. So when he pulls out that gat, he's not playing games with you. He's coming to kill you, right? So really and truly, the most dangerous and the most brutal are really the youngest kids, right? Because they're the ones who have something to prove. They're the ones that's trying to earn stripes. And God forbid you think that because they're young, they're not a threat. That's off with your head. So it's important to recognize I think what Jim Jones said is even more powerful because he's telling you explicitly, it's not just that we're the Marine Corps, but we're trained to kill, and we're trained to kill using strategic special operations, right? A special operation, you're sitting down at the table strategizing who's going to do the killing, right? Obviously, the orchestrators of the assault aren't doing the actual killing, but someone's giving orders and somebody else is doing the killing. So I think that's supremely powerful lyrics. Shout out to Jim Jones. I love Jim Jones, right? Shout out to Jim Jones for for really going in deep on those lyrics. Next, one of my favorite songs. Anytime I'm running on working out, I always got Army Guns playing. Lil Wayne talks about Army guns, and basically, I got Army guns. I got Army guns. Right, that's what he's saying. So here's what Weezy says.
I got Army guns. Yeah. 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 I got Army guns. Yeah.
Okay, again, as I said, right, that's basically, yeah, I got Army guns, right? I don't have regular guns. I don't have street guns, right? I have the guns that you use in the military. I got Army guns, right? So that, and this is true, you know, people in the streets got Army guns, right? So it's you know, to say that, you know, you have a gun in the hood, you know, you go to the basketball court, everybody's strapped, right? Obviously illegally, right? Everybody's strapped. So it's like, you got guns, okay, well, everybody got guns. You got Army guns. Like, you don't want to mess with my team, one, if my team is the Army. But since my team is the Army, right, obviously Weezy here is saying that his team is the Army. Since my team is, and him and BG used to be on the same team, which is Cash Money, and he's saying, well, since we're the Army, like BG said earlier, and like I'm saying now, well, what do you think we have? You think we have street guns? No, we got Army guns, right? So what you need to recognize is the might, the power of the camp, of the group, right? In this case, a rap group. But really and truly, they're not talking about Cash Money as a group. They're talking about Cash Money as, to be honest with you, I really do want to take it a little deep. Cash Money as an ideology, right? Cash Money as the idea, right? Cash Money is more than just Baby and Weezy and ETC, right? Cash Money is the idea of young cats in the streets trying to get cash money, right? Young cats in the streets trying to eat and willing to fight and kill each other for that. So that when Cash Money as an idea now, when Baby's in the studio with his camp and they're conceptualizing this, they're not thinking about appealing to the consumers. They're thinking about appealing to the people in the streets, right? We want to make sure that this music is authentic for people in the streets and people who, like myself, who survive the streets, right? So this idea of being an army obviously means that you're going to have army caliber, right? Army guns, right? So it's even more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's even more powerful a claim to say that the team is, reference the team in terms of military, but also say that since it's a branch of the military, well, we obviously got military issued weaponry, right? That's the idea. Okay, number 3, again, still on page 2. These next quotes are going to be direct references to being a soldier. Now, this is probably the most common because I'm sure a lot of people have heard references to being a soldier, but you can start to incorporate all of these ideas, right? The first thing that you can see is of earning stripes, right? And after I earned stripes, I recognize that there's teams out there. There's a military team, right? There's Army, there's Navy, there's Air Force, there's Marines, and I joined the Marine camp. Well, once I joined the Marine camp, you know, I'm a young cadet, I'm a young private, I'm going to be taking orders from a general. And I'm going to be taking orders from a sergeant. And I'm going to have to do what he or she tells me to do in order to elevate in rank and earn stripes until one day I become a boss and I make the shots and I do the calls and people do what I tell them to do, right? That's the mentality, right? So with respect to being a soldier, lyricists will conceive of themselves as members of a community as soldiers. That is, actively participating in an act of war. I am a soldier because I've done 24 hours in active combat, to be technical, right? Here are direct references to being a soldier. So the first one is See Murder, We Soldiers, right? That's the name of the title of the track, See Murder, We Soldiers. And here's the lyric.
Soldier, nigga, what? I'm a soldier, nigga, what? I'm a soldier.
Okay, he says soldiers, soldiers, soldiers. I'm a soldier, we soldiers, right? I'm a soldier, we soldiers. Everywhere around me is nothing but soldiers, right? Soldiers, 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 soldiers. I'm a soldier, we all soldiers, right? We are prepared for battle, right? This idea of being soldiers, the iteration, right? The itemization of soldiers, soldier there, soldier there, soldier there, soldier there. To get a little technical, it's ostensive. I'm pointing to something in the world. I'm saying there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. I'm one. We're one, right? This is a camp filled with soldiers, right? So the idea is it's a battlefield, as Jeezy says, and if the hood was a battlefield, then I earn stripes. So since the hood is a battlefield and I'm earning stripes, then the person earning stripes has to be a soldier. Okay. Number two, this is, I mean, obviously Jay-Z is the deepest rapper ever. Jay-Z spells it out clearly. This is exactly what I'm trying to lecture on. Minus maybe 1 or 2 points, but Jay-Z hits it right on the head. So number two is Jay-Z's, the title of the track is A Ballad for Fallen Soldiers. Obviously, fallen soldiers, people who have died in the act of war. We're not talking about real war, we're talking about street war. So here's the clip from Jay-Z. It's a bit long, but here's the clip.
This here's a ballad for all the fallen soldiers. I'm about to show you how a hustler's life and a soldier's life parallel. And the one thing they got in common, a mother's pain. Picture a split screen. On one side you got a hustler getting ready for the block. Human being. Other side you got a soldier getting ready for boot camp. They're both at war.
Okay, in the lyric, this is what Jay-Z said, right? This here's a ballad for all the fallen soldiers, those people who have died in urban warfare. I'm about to show you how a hustler's life, dude in the street, and a soldier's life parallel, which is exactly what I'm doing in this video series, right? I'm going to show you, like Jay-Z showing you, how a hustler's life and a soldier's life are on the same playing field, which is exactly the point of this video. And the only thing that they got in common is a mother's pain, right? We're talking about soldiers, fallen soldiers. When the president writes a letter of remorse, or whatever the name of the letter is, that he sends to the families of slain soldiers, that pain is a real pain in the lives of the family. My son went to Iraq and my son died in Iraq. My son went to Afghanistan and my son died in Afghanistan. That's a real pain. Now in the ghetto, no one's sending you letters, right? The president doesn't set, and I'm not saying the president should. There would be, I mean, there would be an infinity of letters that would be going out. But no one's sending the mothers any letters, right? She has to go to the morgue and, you know, she's told by a deputy, an official, some member of the state that, hey, your son primarily, or maybe daughter, or even child, was killed, either directly or incidentally, right? So their pain is the same. What's shared between both mothers is that the pain is the same. What's shared between both mothers is that their children, their sons and daughters, were killed in an act of battle. What's the only difference, and this is where I would say is different from Jay-Z, I take it a little bit deeper than Jay took it, was that unlike, this is where it's not parallel, and I think it's actually deeper, is that unlike the battlefield, the real battlefield in the war zone abroad, wherever that might be, right? You don't have children dying in those battlefields, right? You don't have 4 and 5-year-olds dying in those battlefields, right? Soldiers, quote-unquote soldiers, aren't dying in those battlefields. I'm talking about with respect to the United States of America. I do recognize there are child soldiers. I'm not talking about that. In the ghetto, you do have children who are dying in battlefields. You have 12-year-old soldiers, children who are armed with the intent to kill, and who kill other young children, right? So that's where the parallel isn't the same, and this is why I would say that it's even more dangerous in the hood as a battlefield, because unlike the real Marine Corps, Marines in the hood, you know, will take anybody. If you're 6, 7, 8, 9 years old and you're ready to kill, and times are that lean, and we need, you know, an 8-year-old to go out and do some killing for us, and we recruit an 8-year-old, and he's an 8-year-old killer killing other 8-year-olds, you're not going to see that in the American military, right? We don't condone that as a nation, so it's actually far more dangerous in the streets, right? So that's where the parallel breaks down, but Jay-Z, of course, you know, hits it on the head. Picture a split screen, right? Good visual orator, creates an image in your mind. Picture a split screen. On one side, we got the hustler getting ready for the block, prepping for the block, right? You get the image, right? He wakes up in the morning, like Jeezy says. He opens the door to Vietnam. He grabs the gat off the shelf. He's strapped up. He might put on some camo, you know, put on his boots. He goes out into the block and it's ready. He's ready for war. Similarly, split screen. You see a soldier with a group of soldiers. Maybe a plane lands, cargo things land out, and he lines up in his battalion. Right? Same thing. Jay-Z says. These are human beings. They're both human beings. Other side, you got a soldier getting ready for boot camp. they're both at war. So, I mean, Jay-Z, of course, infinitely genius in his flow, really capturing and personifying the experience in terms of the pain that's felt and the suffering that's felt for both mothers of fallen soldiers in the hood and fallen soldiers on the street. Number 3, this is Mano featuring T-Pain, All of the Above, right? So I'm going to play the audio for Mano featuring T-Pain, All of the Above.
Soldier, a rider, and a survivor, and all the above. A soldier, a rider, and a survivor, and all the above.
Okay, in the lyric, you heard what was said directly. I'm a soldier, a rider, a ghetto survivor, and all of the above, right? I'm a soldier, a rider, a ghetto survivor. I'm going to talk about survivor in the ghetto in a little bit, right? So we could directly connect the idea of being a soldier and a survivor, right? The ghetto is so hostile an environment that the ghetto is trying to destroy you. Just like in an act of war, you try to kill the enemy, and you know that the enemy is trying to kill you. I'm from a place, me, Jason Campbell, I was from a place, I've lived in places where they were actively trying to kill me, right? So insofar as, and this is not just me, everybody from the hood knows this, right? You're in a place where people are actually trying to kill you. If you're able to survive and make it out of that environment, right, not only have you earned stripes, not only are you a soldier, but again, you embody this idea of being a hero, right? Which is why I'm giving back now, right? This is why as a soldier, as a survivor, as Mano says, and T-Pain, as a soldier, as a survivor, as having made it out, I have a responsibility to make sure that I let mainstream America know what's going on, right? So if mainstream America isn't listening to Jay-Z's verses to the level that I'm listening to Jay-Z's lyrics and the rest of these artists' lyrics that I'm listening to, but they will watch my videos, now they have an indication. Now maybe when they listen to the next rapper spit his flow, they'll be like, nah, you know, I watched Dr. Campbell's video and wow, I didn't think it was that deep. I'm glad he let us know how serious this really is, so that now when lyricists are spitting these lyrics and it's hostility, you don't just turn the music off because all you hear is violence. This is not violence for the sake of violence. He's telling you a story about the struggle and the suffering of people having to survive in a system that was designed to exterminate us, right? Okay. Next, True, one of my favorite groups. Believe it or not, True, No Limit Soldiers. I mean, this is like classic hip-hop, foundational hip-hop music. True, No Limit Soldiers, and here's the lyrics.
Cowards despise, soldiers we ride, killers with attitudes but ready to die. Cowards despise, soldiers we ride, killers with attitudes but ready to die.
Okay, in the lyrics, what does he say? Master P says, cowards despise, soldiers we ride. We're ready to go. Cowards, we despise them, right? Soldiers, we ride. Killers with attitude and ready to die. Again, reference to killers. Like Jim Jones made reference to killers. But even deeper now you see even another level, is that it's not just that we're military. It's not just that we're soldiers. It's not just that we're trained to kill. But we're ready to die. I'm not scared of death. A 12-year-old, 15-year-old kid has no concept of life. Has no concept of life, has no concept of the future. A 12, 15-year-old thinks they're going to live forever, right? A 12, 15-year-old watches Scarface and wants to be Al Pacino. A 12, 15-year-old in the hood strapped up with 2 Glocks and a bag of dope. You need to be terrified. I wouldn't even mess with that cat. I don't know anybody that would mess with that cat. You know, because he doesn't have anything to lose, right? He's been trained to kill, but it's not just that he's been trained to kill. He doesn't care about his own life, right? And ready to die. I'm ready to die for this, right? And it's that point. When you get to the point where you're ready to die, like Biggie said, when you get to the point where your life is nothing other than following an order that the general gave you, and the general says, go head hunting, and you know you need to come back with some scalps, what are you going to do? Tell him you never got scalps? No, you're going to go head hunting. Or they're going to bring your body back, because that's the only thing that's acceptable. Don't come back and tell me you didn't get what I needed to get done. You need to get it done. Or they need to bring you back in a bag. And, 12, and you'd be a fool to think that 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds aren't getting orders like this. This happens every day, right? This happens every day. So, I mean, it's a serious note, and I think Master P really took it to the gutter. He took it to the lowest level, not as a bad thing, as a realistic thing. Is that we're ready to ride, right? We're ready to ride, but we're also ready to die, right? Cowards despise, soldiers we ride, killers with attitude and ready to die, right? We ready to die yesterday. It doesn't matter. So powerful note. Okay, number 5. This is Tupac, Soldier Like Me, and here's the audio from Tupac, Soldier Like Me.
Everywhere I see a soldier, everywhere I see a soldier like me. Everywhere I see a soldier, everywhere I see a soldier like me.
Okay, as Pac says, everywhere I see a soldier, everywhere I see a soldier like me, right? Everywhere I look around, I see soldiers, right? The enemy has a team of soldiers. My clique, my camp, has a team of soldiers. Everywhere I look around, all I see is soldiers, right? So in the hood, ghetto folk they're not worried about, you know, nuclear warfare. In the hood, they're not worried about the boogeyman, you know, coming down trying to engineer ways to kill us. They're not worried about that. They're worried about the dude next door, the dude 4 blocks down who's coming to kill me. That's what I'm worried about, right? That's a real threat. And what Pac is saying is everywhere I look around, all I see around me in the hood, in the ghetto, is soldiers, right? Why is it the case? Because the hood is a battlefield, as Jeezy said, right? The hood is a battlefield. So since it's a battlefield, the only people who are on battlefields are soldiers, right? So everybody's a soldier. Why? Because the entirety of where I live is defined by being a soldier.